If you've ever been in a relationship where you felt you couldn't really be yourself just to keep the other person close, this video is for you. If you've ever walked away from a date or a conversation thinking, "Why do I always end up with people who don't really see me?" Or, "Why do I feel like I have to work so hard just to get a little attention?" Stay with me. We live in a world that's addicted to drama. We scroll past perfect couples on social media, watch endless love stories for hours, and then quietly wonder why our real-life relationships feel so different, uncertain, draining, or simply tiring. Today, I want to share an ancient story that can completely change the way you look at love and mutual respect. It's not a fairy tale, and it's not a Hollywood script. It's an old story with a lot to say about how we live and love here and now. This is a simple story about two people, Ruth and Boaz, who slowly build a relationship based on warmth, kindness, respect, and trust. And here's what moved me the most. When you really look closely, this ancient story is full of surprisingly modern advice about healthy relationships. By the end of this video, you'll have a few simple ideas you can try in your own life. Whether you're single and dating, in a relationship, or already married, these small shifts can help your relationship feel clearer, kinder, and more respectful. So what is this story really about? On the surface, it's about a woman who loses almost everything, a man who notices her, and how they slowly build a life together, step by step. But underneath, it's really about what mutual respect does to a relationship, how you treat someone who is more vulnerable than you, and what it means to love without games, without manipulation, and without losing yourself in the process. You don't need to come from any particular faith or believe anything specific to get something from this story. You just need to be human, to care about yourself, to genuinely want to love others, and to be willing to let something good into your relationships. This story will show you what it really feels like to be seen and to truly see someone else, what it feels like to be in a relationship built on mutual respect, and what it means to give another person a sense of security and care. Ready? Let's dive in. Our story begins in ancient times. Naomi leaves her home because of a famine. She and her husband take their two sons and move to a foreign land. There, her sons marry local women, Ruth and Orpah. And then, everything changes. Naomi's husband dies, and then both of her sons die as well. Now, there are three widows, Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah. Heartbroken, Naomi turns to them and encourages them to go back to their families, while she plans to return to her home in Bethlehem. She says to them, "You're still young. Go back to your families. Build a new life. Find a new husband. Start a new home. You don't need to stay here with me in my grief." Orpah listens, kisses them goodbye, and returns to her family. Ruth chooses a different path. Ruth does something incredibly brave. She looks at Naomi, an older, heartbroken woman who has lost almost everything, and says, "Where you go, I'll go. Your people will be my people. Wherever you are, that's where I want to be." She chooses loyalty over comfort. Instead of going back to the familiar, Ruth walks with Naomi into a land she's never seen before, with no guarantees and no idea what the future will hold. The two of them arrive in Bethlehem with nothing. No money, no social status, no plan. Ruth understands exactly where they stand and says, "I'll go out to the fields and collect whatever's left over. Maybe someone will let me do that." She doesn't wait for a miracle. She doesn't complain. She just does the next thing she believes is right. This is where Boaz enters the story. He owns the field. He has workers, land, social status, and a solid reputation in his community. In today's language, we'd probably say his life is sorted. He's in a secure position and people respect him. At that time, the law allowed poor people to gather the leftover grain from the fields. That's exactly what Ruth is doing. By coincidence, Ruth ends up in Boaz's field. We could call it chance, but the story is already hinting that something bigger is taking shape. Boaz notices her. He sees a young woman who has been working hard since early morning. He asks who she is and finds out that she came from the land of Moab and that she chose to stay and support Naomi, even though her husband died and she has no obligation to her anymore. At this point, Boaz is already moved by her, maybe even starting to feel something. But he doesn't rush in. He doesn't flirt with her or try out clever opening lines. Instead, he calls her over and treats her with kindness and respect. He tells her, "Stay here in my field. Stay close to the other women, and you'll be safe here. No one will bother you." He even invites her to drink from his well whenever she's thirsty. Later, he also invites her to join the workers for their meal. He makes sure she has enough to eat and then goes even further, asking his workers to leave extra grain behind on purpose so Ruth can gather more food. Now, let's pause for a moment. Boaz is a man with power. Ruth is a poor, vulnerable woman from a foreign land. Boaz could have ignored her. He could have sent her away. He could have treated her as if she didn't matter at all. Instead, he uses his position to protect Ruth, to treat her as an equal, and to encourage her. He genuinely wants to know who she is. He watches how she cares for Naomi and appreciates the kind of person she is. He notices her loyalty and her courage, and he responds to all of that with respect and honor. Ruth keeps going back to Boaz's field, and Naomi starts to sense something. She notices there's a spark between them. Boaz is a good man, so Naomi gently guides Ruth on how to approach him in a way that honors him and also makes her intentions clear. Ruth doesn't play games. She doesn't manipulate him. She doesn't try to seduce him or pressure him into a relationship. What she actually does is come to him with good, clear intentions. She lets him know she's open to a relationship, that if he's interested, they can move forward, and if he's not, that's also okay, and she will respect his decision. Now that's huge. Boaz responds with the same respect and deep appreciation. He doesn't rush into anything. He wants to do things the right way and make sure that whatever he does is fair and honorable for everyone involved, including Naomi. He doesn't ghost her. He doesn't send mixed signals. He doesn't suggest a secret relationship. Just like Ruth, he's clear about his intentions and takes responsibility for them. The story of Ruth and Boaz is a powerful picture of love with deep roots in kindness. What surprised me most about this ancient story is how relevant it is to our world today, and also how normal it is. There's no confusing drama. There's no, "it's just the two of us against the world" fantasy. There's a hardworking woman who shows up and is honest about her intentions. And there's a man who notices her, slowly starts to care for her, and acts with integrity. Two people who communicate clearly and treat each other with respect and genuine appreciation. And honestly, it's almost shocking how rare this is today. In our modern world, we almost expect our relationships to look completely different. We're not even surprised when we only get half their attention, or we're kept as the backup option, or we're made to feel like wanting basic respect is too much. The story of Ruth and Boaz is about something very simple. Two people who, in their actions, are basically saying to each other, "I see you. I'll look out for you. I'll treat you with respect." It almost sounds unrealistic, but it isn't. Sure, it's not as dramatic as a lot of what we see in shows and movies today, but that's exactly the point. If you're like most people today, your picture of love is probably shaped by two main things: what you saw at home growing up and what you've seen in movies, TV shows, and on social media. You might believe that love can disappear at any moment, that it's built on the fear of being abandoned, that you constantly have to prove you're good enough. Maybe you feel like love is just rare sparks that show up once in a while, and that to keep them, you have to ignore yourself and your own needs, just so the other person won't be disappointed in you. Now compare that to Ruth and Boaz. Ruth doesn't have to prove herself. She's simply who she is: loyal, hardworking, and honest. Boaz doesn't expect her to guess what he feels. He creates a safe space around her and supports her along the way. He makes sure she's okay, and he never takes advantage of her vulnerability. Think for a moment about your own life. Have you ever stayed in a relationship where you felt like you were always on edge? Where you felt ignored most of the time, but you stayed anyway, just so you wouldn't be alone? Do you feel like you have to lower your standards just so someone will choose you? I think a lot of people feel this way about love. That's exactly what makes this story so powerful. It offers us a completely different way to look at love. A love that protects you instead of threatening you. A love where you're not in constant competition with other people or with what you see on social media. A love that moves forward step by step with clear signals and clear words instead of fast drama and 1,000 question marks. Once I really understood the heart of Ruth and Boaz's story, something shifted inside me. I stopped asking, "Am I loved?" and started asking, "Am I truly loving the person in front of me?" I stopped chasing romantic drama and settling for people who weren't really emotionally available to me. Instead, I started paying attention to the smallest things. I asked myself, does the person I'm with, or the person I'm going on a date with, keep their word? Do they treat other people with respect, not just me? Do they care about how their actions affect the people around them? And of course, I turned those same questions back on myself. Because if I expect honesty and respect from someone else, I need to make sure I'm offering them as well. Because here's the thing, Boaz didn't make grand, dramatic moves. He just kept showing up in those small, important ways. Ruth wasn't perfect either, but her courage and loyalty were there, quietly, all the time, even when no one was watching her. They were both simply decent people with strong values, and I started taking those same values into my own life. Instead of getting pulled into loud, messy drama, I started noticing something else. Is the person in front of me genuinely kind? Do I feel a sense of safety and sanity with them? Do they stand by other people even when there's nothing in it for them? You can do the same. You don't need big declarations or grand gestures. You just need to start paying attention to the right things. Let's make it practical. Here are a few small steps inspired by the story of Ruth and Boaz that you can try this week. Step 1. Confidence is the foundation, not a bonus. In every relationship, romantic, family, work, even longtime friends, ask yourself, do I feel confident and appreciated here? And do I truly appreciate and respect the people around me? Don't ask this only once in a while or only on good days. Let this question be a quiet guideline that stays with you all the time. If most of the time the answer is no, if you don't feel confident, don't feel appreciated, or notice that you don't really respect the people around you, that's a sign to pause and change something. What can you do this week? Choose one person you're in a relationship with and notice how you feel around them. How does your body react when they're nearby? Do you feel relaxed, or are you tense, always worried about their next reaction? For now, you don't need to change anything. Just pay attention. Be aware. Step 2. Look for small acts of kindness, not big gestures. Boaz doesn't write Ruth love poems. He makes sure she has water. He makes sure she has a safe environment. He invites her to be part of the group around her. It doesn't look dramatic, but in real life, these are the things that matter most. Make a list of 3 small habits that help you feel appreciated. For example, they send me a message to make sure I got home safely, or they remember things I told them that matter to me, or they put their phone down when I'm talking so they can really listen. These are your Boaz steps. Small things you can actually do. Use them in 2 ways: to notice how other people treat you and to notice how you treat others. Don't expect anyone to put their phone down when you speak if you're not willing to do the same for them. Step 3. Be clear. Ruth doesn't leave Boaz guessing how she feels. She doesn't play games. She doesn't test him. She simply respects him and speaks honestly. In our world today, that might sound like, I really enjoy spending time with you, and I'd like to see if we're a good match. Or, this doesn't feel right for me, and I don't want to continue this relationship. Think about a relationship where the other person wasn't clear and you felt afraid or on edge. Maybe it was on a date, maybe with friends, maybe even at work. Now write down one sentence you wish you had the courage to say out loud. You don't have to say it to anyone yet, but write it for yourself so you know what matters to you and what you stand for. Step 4, be the kind of love you want to receive. If you want a Boaz in your life, start by behaving like Ruth. That doesn't mean you should accept unhealthy behavior, quite the opposite. To build a healthy relationship, you need to become what you're looking for. Loyalty that goes both ways, kindness that creates a sense of security, and honesty that really matters. Be the things you want to have in your life. Think of one person in your life, a friend, a partner, or a family member. Do one small thing this week that shows them you appreciate them. Do something that will actually matter to them. Take a shift they don't want. Run an errand for them like grocery shopping, or send a simple, encouraging text message. You're training yourself to live with the kind of love you want to receive, even if it hasn't fully shown up in your life yet. A healthy relationship is not endless fireworks. Sometimes it's just a woman who shows up in a field to work, and a good man who quietly makes sure she feels safe. Sometimes it's simply two people who are willing to take small, steady steps and choose not to run straight into the drama storm. Ruth and Boaz remind us what real love looks like: emotional warmth, a sense of security, mutual respect, open communication, and simple, everyday kindness. Here's my challenge for you. In the next 24 hours, choose one of the steps from this video and actually do it. Notice how your body feels around other people. Be clear but kind. Make your own Boaz list, or start doing small, gentle acts of care for the people in your life. Now just notice the change. If this story touched you and you feel it could help shift your relationships, and if you'd like more stories like this, hit subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you. What moved you most in the story of Ruth and Boaz? Let me know in the comments below.